Hi friends. So I've been wanting to hop on here for a while now and talk a little bit about food sensitivities, food, allergies, leaky gut, and SIBO and SIFO. So small intestinal bacterial overgrowth and small intestinal fungal overgrowth. So I've linked in my profile on Instagram this book, and so this is by Dr. Grace, and it's 7 Steps to Heal SIBO. I've talked about her work before, but she is an amazing doctor and is really out there, functional medicine doctor, has a pharmacy background, and is really trying to kind of re-educate what it actually means to have a good, healthy gut, and really re-educating on how the gut actually does have a key kind of roadmap to what healthy gut actually looks like, and how to resurrect that, and how to prevent it, how to eliminate the small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, fungal overgrowth. So this is something that, if you don't know my background, I have had chronic issues pretty much my entire life, digestive wise, and that has led into many other symptoms that I dealt with growing up. And it's really the reason why I am doing the things that I do now, the reason why I have a passion for educating and teaching people about natural health and how to heal the body naturally, how to understand what's going on in our body, because for years and years and years, I had no help, had no idea what was going on with me, and had gotten to a place, really not until like maybe 10, 12 years ago, that I was kind of over it and didn't want to do this anymore, didn't want to feel sick anymore. So anyways, that's really the reason I do these things. That's why I came up with the natural motive. I have a photography background. I have a photography background. I went to photography school, went to art school, which I still love, and that's still a passion of mine. But through my own health journey and health issues, I discovered so many things on my own. I wasn't getting the help medically, and went to many doctors, and no one was really giving me any answers. And so I had to learn on my own. And through that journey, I discovered there are answers out there. There are keys, indicators to what's going on in our health. And people we're not taught this, and it's not readily available. It is more so now. I will say the education that's out there and available to us is way more than it was 10 years ago, for sure. So I just want to talk just about this one thing, because this is what I'm kind of going through right now. I knew about leaky gut 11 years ago. I started changing my diet and understanding that the gut is seriously the key to all health. But it's not perfect. I am still in a journey, and I'm still going through this now, and I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to investigate more. I have changed my health. It's not even close to where I was 10, 12 years ago. I would have debilitating gut issues, and had chronic arthritis and pain in my hands and my feet and my joints, and I had a knee swell up on me before my son was born 6 years ago, and had to go through rheumatology. So I've changed the trajectory of that, but things are still not perfect, right? And I'm still learning. So I've been learning through Dr. Grace, and I wanted to share this with you guys. So there is a difference between food sensitivities and food allergies. So an allergy is when you have an anaphylactic reaction, right? So you eat a strawberry, eat a peanut, and you have an instant reaction immediately, right? Well, a food sensitivity / allergen is going to more than likely appear within 24 hours, 48 hours, after you've digested. So if you're having bloating, and those can be benign symptoms, they can be more serious, but they can also be kind of more benign. So more gas, bloating, headaches, fatigue, fogginess, brain fog, those can all be signs and symptoms of a food sensitivity or a food allergy. So those can happen with a lot of different foods, and you may feel bloated, and you may think, oh, it was something I ate for dinner, but really it could have been something you ate yesterday or the day before. So this is really key as an indicator of what's going on in your body. Most of these food sensitivities happen because we have a dysbiosis in our gut, which means we don't have the right bacteria that can break down these foods in our small intestine. And, it goes into our stomach, it goes then into our small intestine to be digested. And if there's an imbalance in there, if there's inflammation in there, if you have leaky gut, if you have a disbalance or an imbalance between the good bacteria that you need, these foods aren't being broken down. And that's when you can start having these signs and symptoms. And it can be a vicious cycle. So if you have SIBO, which is a small bacterial overgrowth, meaning you have an overgrowth of the bad bacteria, the protective bacteria that are there to help protect you are not there. Either they've been eliminated through, antibiotics, through medications, through stress, through diet, through through genetically modified foods. All these things can happen, right? So it's really important to understand, okay, if we're in this cycle, we have SIBO, we have these sensitivities. It's really important to know what those are and to get on the track of then healing your gut. And so there are food elimination diets, which I have done, and those are okay. They're pretty decent. Usually we're eliminating kind of the key indicators that most people have sensitivity to, which would be like, your eggs, nuts, gluten, dairy, refined sugar. Those things are pretty corn. Those things are usually pretty common to have a sensitivity to. So with the food elimination diets, you can try that for a time, but you're still shooting in the dark, right? So you still don't really 100% know what those sensitivities can be, and they can be different for everybody. And it just depends on your background, how you grew up, what you've been exposed to. There's no key rhyme or reason really for anyone, and everyone's different. So what Dr. Grace recommends is actually having like a food panel test, sensitivity test. There's a company called Everlywell, and Doug and I just did it, and it's a test that you can buy. It's fairly inexpensive. They have two. So they have one that you can get like their top 90 foods that you may be sensitive to, and then the other one's more in depth. So Doug and I had chose to do the more in-depth sensitivity test because I think it's over like 200 or 300 foods, spices, things like that you can have a sensitivity to. And the key really is you need to know what those foods are for you as an individual. Because if you're going to heal your gut, when you're eating foods that you don't know maybe that you have a sensitivity or this allergen to, meaning you eat this food, say it's corn, you have no idea. You eat the corn, you don't have a severe reaction, so you're not really sure you have no indicator, right? You may have bloating or gas a day or two, but you're not thinking, oh, it was the corn shells I ate or the tortilla chips I ate. That causes inflammation in your gut, and that inflammation, and it causes an immune reaction. And so the immune reaction, it causes antibodies as you continue to have exposure to this allergen. And that immune reaction causes these antibodies. And the specific antibodies that these food sensitivity tests look for are IgG. So an IgE antibody is for allergens like that you have a severe anaphylactic, reaction to. But sensitivities produce the antibody IgG. So there is a difference, and that's what these food sensitivities look for. And so when you find what these foods are, because you're eating them, they create inflammation, it can lead to leaky gut, which creates even more autoimmune issues, because now you are, when you have leaky gut, you literally have holes in the lining of your gut and the cell walls. And so the cell walls of your intestines are supposed to protect the bad stuff from going into your bloodstream, and the only things that should go into your bloodstream are the nutrients, the minerals, the vitamins and minerals and nutrients from your food. But if you have leaky gut, you've got holes in that intestinal wall, and food gets into your bloodstream, and your body's like, whoa, these particles, I don't know what this is not normal, you should not be in the bloodstream, and you have an immune response. So these food sensitivities that you may have that you don't even realize you have can be leading to leaky gut, making it worse, not allowing your body to heal, because it naturally wants to heal and close off that intestinal wall. And you're kind of creating this cycle, right? It just never stops. You've got constant inflammation, you keep eating more foods, your body never has the time to heal, and you never have a real chance to actually heal the gut by putting the good bacteria back in. So these food sensitivity tests are kind of like the first step to say, okay, And we haven't gotten ours back yet. We should get them back pretty soon. So I'm really curious. I think I know what those foods are because I'm pretty good at paying attention and knowing what my symptoms are and then narrowing that down, but I am still shooting in the dark. So this is the first time I've ever had one of these as a clear indicator. There is a difference, I will say, between GI mapping and a true like food sensitivity or an oat test, which is I can go into later. But it's really important to know what these foods are. And then once you know what your triggers are, the key is, okay, we avoid those foods for a time to then, as we avoid these foods, start working on the gut. So start bringing back in fermented foods slowly. Start looking at, the probiotics, which are the very specific strands. So we really need bifidolongum, and that can help resurrect a lot of the good bacteria that we need. And I'll do a video, I need to talk about that too, which is Dr. Grace talks about kind of your ABCs of your gut. So there are specific strands that they have found in research that are in the guts of people that are healthy. So people that live in the blue zone, if you've ever heard of that, which they live to be, the centurion. So people that live past 100 years old, they study their guts and they see that they do have specific strands in common with each other, which means there are specific strands that we have to have a healthy gut, and bifidolongum is one of them. Now, she creates her own probiotics, which I have linked in my link tree in my profile, which I've started taking because probiotics I took, but you don't know what, is it really helping? Is it really doing anything? So you take these food sensitivity tests, you eliminate these food sensitivities or these food allergens out of your diet for a period to give your body time to stop the cascade of inflammation, to stop the immune response, to stop the antibody response. And then in that period of time, you're focusing on more nourishing foods. You're focusing on, re-inoculating yourself with the good bacteria. You're focusing on, bringing back in plant fiber and all the things that the good bacteria, the live bacteria need to live and to survive and to thrive. Fermented foods, things like that. So that's just kind of one step. But I wanted to explain that because I didn't really fully understand the difference either. And there really is a difference. It's a different antibody that's created. And to really truly start healing the gut and eliminating a lot of these symptoms and chronic diseases, you have to go in with your eyes open, right? You can't just go in blindly. So that's what I'm doing. Doug's taking it as well because he knows there are several foods that trigger him, and we just need to know what they are. So I'm excited to know and find out. I'll share with you guys what they are. I have no problem sharing that information if it's helpful to other people. I will definitely share that once we get it because I'm really curious to see what those are. And then really starting to understand, like, okay, how can we eliminate these from the diet? And as your gut heals, then the idea is you should be able to, if you heal the gut lining, you resurrect the good bacteria in your gut, then you can actually start to bring some of these foods back, right? Now, I will say gluten, regular processed dairy, those are things I will never bring back in my diet because I just know they're not healthy for me, and they're just not beneficial for your gut. But some of the other foods that you may be having sensitivity to, you can start to slowly bring those back into your diet slowly. And if your gut is healed and you have the right bacteria and you have the right protective agents living in the gut where they should be, you shouldn't be seeing those symptoms. So that's what I'm doing. I had Doug do it with me. It's a blood test. It's super simple. You just prick your finger. You give them the samples on a little card. You send it in, and then they send us the results back. So I'm looking forward to seeing what those are. Hopefully we'll get them in the next couple days or so. But I just wanted to share that with you guys, and hopefully it was a little bit eye-opening and have a better explanation of like what food sensitivity, what does it actually mean, and why is it happening? And majority of the time it's happening because we have SIBO, we have SIFO, we have leaky gut, and because of that, they also help continue that vicious cycle, so we're never actually healing. So let me know if you have questions on that, and I will happily share my results. So I'm looking forward to sharing this with you and seeing what is going on in my gut. So hope that's helpful, guys, and I hope you're enjoying the beautiful weather because it's beautiful here in Ohio finally. So have a fantastic weekend, and we'll talk soon.